Hello everyone, this is Nicholas Pythagoras, and on this YouTube channel we ask the question, how does the truth manifest itself in the real world? And if this is your first time joining me on this YouTube channel, we discuss topics mainly about philosophy, human consciousness, studying the human experience. It's mainly a philosophical YouTube channel, but we do touch on religion sometimes. And on this YouTube video, I want to discuss the origins of consciousness and perhaps why America is different than other countries in terms of consciousness. And before I start this video, I want to preface this with consciousness doesn't really have an origin. There's not really like a single point of like origin for consciousness, because consciousness is synonymous with like someone's like soul or psyche or spirit. And because it's a spiritual thing, it's very malleable. It adapts to our surroundings. It adapts to our society, the geography around us. Because it's very spiritual, it's very malleable. All right, so jumping into the topic at hand, I want you to imagine for a second that you're stranded on, let's say, an island or a forest. You have like nothing, like literally, you had to survive. So basically, you're, let's say, in the middle of a jungle or an island or whatever, and you didn't have any like clothes, you didn't have any technology, you didn't have like a phone, you didn't have anything. You had to survive and you had to fend for yourself. The first thing that you would notice is that there's a lot of things that want to kill you. There's a lot of things that want to kill you, and you're going to acknowledge death. You're going to acknowledge that you could potentially die. You could potentially die, and this is very important because acknowledging death, acknowledging your own mortality, is the basis for, humility, actually. And basically, there's that one phrase, Memento mori, remember that you will die. In the Bible, it says, if you remember your last end, then you will never sin again. And it's very important because if you acknowledge your mortality, if you acknowledge death, if you acknowledge evil, and you acknowledge that you could potentially die, either spiritually or physically, then that's already humility. That's already showing the virtue of humility. Even Martin Heidegger says that, like, if you acknowledge your own death, like, literally, it's like it's a healthy thing to acknowledge your own death. We see here in America, not just to jump straight to the second part of the video, but we acknowledge here in America this idea of transhumanism. We believe that we are invincible. We believe that nothing can stop us. That we believe in the infinite, what Nietzsche would say, the will to power, because we don't acknowledge death. And for the elites, like, they believe in something called transhumanism, that we can go beyond being human, whether that is literally being our own God, which is dangerous, or uploading our like psyche, our own consciousness to an AI like robot, and living here partially separated from God for eternity, which is or for as long as the world lasts, which that's not healthy either. But going back to our scenario here, so when you're in, let's say, when you're in the wilderness and you have to fend for yourself, you acknowledge first that you can die, that there is a potential for death. You acknowledge your own mortality, which is healthy. The second thing you'll notice is that you can't do everything. There are going to be some things that you can't do. Like, technology is going to be like out of the question. Like, most of us probably don't know how to make a phone, the inner workings of a phone, software, hardware, and to even have the materials, to even get the materials for that, it's going to be, there's things that we can't do. We can't do everything. So you're going to acknowledge certain limitations. And this is also healthy because it's the way ancient people used to think in their cosmology in the past was with this kind of humble aspect. It was like, okay, we acknowledge that we can die, that there are certain things that are very dangerous. Things held symbolic meaning because it originated from the geography. Their soul originated from the geography, the society, the world around them. And, very recently, I would say in the past couple centuries, we kind of failed to acknowledge this darkness, this evil, this pitfall. It's kind of like you're crossing over a ledge or something, and if you look down, or let's say that generic, like, you're walking on a tightrope or you're walking on like a rope and don't look down. That acknowledgement of the darkness, that acknowledgement of death, it's very healthy. And here in America, We have lost that. The second thing that I want to talk about is, yeah, like here in America, we acknowledge the infinite. Well, we don't acknowledge death. We are consumed by the infinite more and more and more. We believe that anything is possible. And I'm not sure if it was Walt Disney who said this, but he said like, or someone said, if you can dream it, you can do it. Because we don't acknowledge death. We don't acknowledge the limitations, our own limitations. We believe in the infinite. We believe that everything is possible. And I will say that the entire world globally is consumed by this zeitgeist. This is the zeitgeist, the spirit of the times, which is that we don't acknowledge death. And the whole world is consumed by it, by this Western consciousness. However, I would say America is the worst, because at least other countries have the history they can look back to, whether it's ingrained in their language, whether it's ingrained in certain poems or certain philosophers that they study, you know, whether that's like Asia, the Middle East, Slavic, even Western Europe used to have they used to acknowledge the darkness back in the 12th century, 13th century, that time period, the Dark Ages, very fitting name, you know, the Dark Ages, because they acknowledged the darkness instead of the Enlightenment. But they acknowledged this, darkness, this pitfall, this potential to fall off the cliff, this potential to die. And it was a much, healthier time period in some way, perhaps spiritually. But nowadays, you know, the entire globe is consumed by and infected by the zeitgeist of not acknowledging your own mortality, not acknowledging this potential to die. The other thing that I was going to say was that here in America, and of course globally, but it's worse here in America, our ease of access to everything. It's so easy to get food, to get water, to get shelter, to get clothes. We have access to it. You know, hundreds and thousands of years ago, this was very hard to come by. You know, it was very, it was harder to come by. Here, we have the ease of access to it. And as a result of having this ease of access, it has made us very soft in a way. It has conditioned us. It has conditioned our soul to kind of not acknowledge the hardships that people in the past have gone through, that they have had to go through in order to obtain simple things. Like people used to hunt for their food. Here we just go to the supermarket and buy it. That ease of access conditions our soul, and and as a result, when we are raised in this type of society, it makes us in a way weak. It makes us in a way soft. And I think you can see this translate in the global phenomena that happens, phenomena being plural, but this global consciousness, this global zeitgeist that happens, it has made us soft. And I think as a result of not being able, we're able to do it, but as a result of ignoring the darkness, ignoring our capacity to die, our mortality, because we have ignored it for so long, potentially, as we can see from global trends, we might face a situation in which we're going to have to face death because we have ignored it for so long. We're going to have to face our own mortality because we have ignored it for so long. That is the video, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and if you agree or disagree. If you enjoy topics such as philosophy, metaphysics, studying human consciousness, and studying human experience, please consider subscribing and liking the video. That definitely does help the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.